Yes.
Another thing related to this is there are, in South Africa especially, we've got the government curriculum, which is called CAPS,
Mm.
Curriculum and Assessment. I can't remember the entire abbreviation, but
Yes.
it's outcomes, sort of an outcomes based curriculum. Defines for every grade and every subject the outcomes and what must be done in order to prove that the outcome has been achieved,
Yes.
and it goes into the finest detail, and it
Mm.
prescribes up to the hour of what a teacher in a public
Oh my.
school should do. And and the homeschooling curriculum providers, a lot of them also pride themselves on the fact that their curriculums are CAPS compliant.
Yes. Yes.
And the reason why they think it's good that a homeschooling curriculum is CAPS compliant is because they say, if you start homeschooling and you follow a CAPS compliant curriculum and you want to go back to school later on, it will be easier to go back into school.
Hmm.
What is your opinion? Would it be easier to follow a homeschooling curriculum that's aligned with the public school curriculum to make it easier to go back later, or can do homeschoolers that follow a totally different curriculum easily um,
Mm.
go back into the public schools? And it can happen that your circumstances stay
Hmm.
change, that you have to send your children to a public school. What's
Hmm.
your opinion?
Hmm. Yeah. Well, my opinion is it raises a lot of questions. And I think the first and most important questions are philosophical, and that is parents and young adults need to decide, why are we home educating? And if they believe that they're home educating because it's the right thing to do based on some philosophy or religious beliefs, then that's what you do. And you're not always trying to find out or wait for maybe the sky will fall. You know, like, oh no, the sky's going to fall. You do what you're supposed to do because it's good. And secondly, it raises the question: is there anything good about home education that's is different or better from institutional schooling? And the answer is there are many things that are better about home-based education than institutional schooling. So take advantage of those things. And I would say to most people, don't worry about trying to be consistent with or comply with the government school system. Okay, I'm not being practical yet, am I? So then I would say, finally, the argument that you kind of laid out there theoretically almost implies that in some people's mind, the public school or government school system is the default system, the best system, the normal system, and normal is good, buoy. But people have to start to question. People have to question that kind of assumption. Now, finally, on a little bit more practical note, and remember, practical is not better than philosophical necessarily. If people are already intending to put their children in institutional school when they start homeschooling, well, then maybe you need to think about that and try to follow all the government rules and all the government mandated curriculum. But now I'll say a final thing. My experience is that most children who are home educated, if they're being given a solid academic training, and most of them are, they're going to do just fine in the government schools in the United States and probably in South Africa. Okay, you do not have to constantly focusing on what some expert professional over there says is the curriculum god of the world. You don't have to worry about that so much. If your children are learning to read and hopefully enjoy reading, if they're learning to be critical thinkers by discussing things with you and reading solid literature, if they're learning basic mathematics and you're teaching them how to write a good single-page essay, it's very, very likely they can make a fine transition into institutional schooling if that's where you go someday.